I approach the garage while getting as close as possible to the left, keeping a safe distance from the wall, then advance as much as possible, pointing my car to the right, positioning it in as much a diagonal position as I can, all the while keeping a safe distance from the obstacles, like this. Now I put in reverse, I turn my steering wheel all the way to the left, and I reverse as much as I can. I keep judging my distance from the garage wall by looking behind and in the mirrors. When I feel I'm getting close to the wall behind, I put in first gear, I turn the steering wheel all the way to the right, and I advance as much as I can. Now, as with any other situation where you have little room to maneuver, it becomes a matter of alternating between turning the steering wheel all the way to one side and advancing as much as possible, then turning it completely to the other side, reversing as much as possible, and repeating these steps until the vehicle is as straight as possible and as centered as possible with the spot you want to park into, in this case, the garage entrance. From now on, I'll call these the alternating steps. Now if you're parking in a spot as tight as this one, where there's only about 2 to 3 inches from each side, it's not a good idea to try to straighten the car while reversing when you're already between the obstacles. This is hard to do even for experienced drivers. Always try to get the vehicle as straight as possible and as centered as possible between the obstacles before you start reversing between them, be it in a garage, between two other vehicles, or whatever other obstacles you might have on the sides. So that's what I do here. I get my car as straight as possible before the back bumper starts passing the garage door. Now when my car is well centered with the garage entrance and as straight as possible, which is something I check in the side mirrors, I reverse very slowly. In this case, I have a manual transmission, so I constantly keep my clutch depressed in order to have a better control of the accelerator, and I accelerate very slightly and brake a bit if needed, all the while constantly checking the side mirrors. If needed, I turn the steering wheel very slightly to fine-tune. But remember, the main straightening of the car has to be done before starting to enter the garage. The most important thing here is to always keep safe distance from the obstacles. The closer the obstacle is, meaning the less room you have to maneuver, the more you'll repeat the alternating steps. For example, here, the obstacle is further away from me, so I'm able to do the maneuver in a couple of steps. With the obstacle closer, I took a lot more steps. But don't stress with that. It doesn't matter how many steps it takes, just take as many as needed to do the whole maneuver as safely as possible. Especially if you're parking at the exam, where the priority is on safety, not your ability on parking as quickly as possible. Now one last thing, here I have an obstacle to my right, the car, but I also have these flower pots in front. And because of that, I have to repeat the alternating steps a lot of times. If you're parking in a place where you have obstacles on the side, but none in front, go further. Just a bit more than the length of your vehicle. That'll make it easier to align yourself between the obstacles in the first step. The next video will be another one in the defensive driving series, communication, with both our body as well as with the vehicle. So stay tuned and see you soon.